Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the fourth day of the Wealth Mentor 2.0. Wow, what a week it has been. It has been big, it's been epic, and it is a great pleasure to be here once again on day 4. It was actually quite funny. We were having a bit of a team meeting the other morning, and I think one of us said that it was Tuesday, one of us said it was Thursday. It was actually Wednesday, but we're so pumped for the whole week. It's been all go for us at the office. We've been very excited about the Wealth Mentor 2.0 because this is really our opportunity to share with you guys all the work that we've been putting in behind the scenes over the last little while to prepare to be able to share with you guys different ways that you can create wealth, but also the opportunity for people to come on and be able to share with others how they have created wealth and also share their knowledge, their skills, and be able to become partners of Wealth Mentor. I think it's been an absolutely exciting week, and it's been so cool to have so many amazing people on as well. I mean, Monday we introduced the idea, me and Karen talked about it, and we had a really great session. Tuesday we had the mentors come on. I know there were some really cool comments coming back from people, lots of great feedback. We had a bunch of emails, bunch of messages saying how epic it was to hear from the individual mentors about their stories, about some ideas and what's happening in the market. And then yesterday, Paulie, I mean, we all love the energy that Paulie brings. I mean, Paul, as one of our partners, is a huge, huge honor, I guess, for us as a company, but also the ability to share that man's knowledge and passion, because he has a real drive and a real passion to share with everybody. So welcome again to evening number 4. A little bit of admin before I bring Karen in. Remember, guys, we do have the opportunity for you to watch this on the page where you get to see all the comments. We are going to drop that link into the comments if you're on YouTube right now, so you can head over, and that way you're in with everybody else. You can see all the comments come through, as well as that. If you've maybe missed one of the other evenings, they're all there for you. Just click on Tuesday, click on Monday, you can watch that one as well. Now, we do have the chat going as well, as you guys can see that are on the right page. Drop in the chat. Let us know, how many of these evenings have you seen? Is this, you're on 4 of 4? I'd be impressed. I'm sure there's a few of you out there that are on 4 of 4. I'm on 4 of 4. Well, I've been here every night. So let us know, and let us know what you've been thinking of the week. Because, as I say, we've really enjoyed being able to bring it to you, and very, very excited about the shift that we're doing in being able to make wealth accessible to all. Right. Now, making wealth accessible to all means that there's so many different facets to it. There's so many different elements to the concept of wealth. And someone who will always push the boundaries on ways of creating that wealth, no matter what that wealth means to you as an individual. He's always taking your concept of wealth and he'll figure out the best way for you to be able to get that. Is my good friend Karen. Are you there?
Hey, Jono. Yep, back. I'm back. Me again, team. Hey, thanks for having me back.
So I'm 4 of 4. You're on number 3 of 4. So it's great to have you back, and I love the fact you're joining us from your library. It's a great amount of books that you've got in the back there.
It is. If you don't read books, you don't get smart, and you don't do well in life, right? So you guys can write that down as a free tip just to start with.
You're welcome. Great to have you on tonight, Karen, and very exciting tonight to have you on in the capacity of getting to share what it's like, or what you bring as a partner in Wealth Mentor. And I caught a couple of the elements that you'd posted as part of your social media, and how cat's out the bag. This is what I am doing, and it's really is exciting to have you a part of the team and from that avenue. But I'll give you the floor for just a few seconds. And for those that don't know you, or maybe want to understand a little bit more about the shift that you've made, the floor is yours.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that. So I guess to introduce myself, most of you know me from the property space, right? Obviously, I was on Monday sharing with Jono, but today's the first day I feel like I almost get to take the Wealth Mentor hat and put the Chiron hat on. Today is the day I get to share as a partner. And so when I was working with Jono around what the shift in the business model was going to be, how we were going to make it possible for other partners to come in and start sharing their ideas, I knew right away that that was the direction I wanted to go personally. I wanted to be a partner, which has been quite cool, because I've been able to see I guess, Jono, from both sides, the wealth mentor side and the partner side, to make it work for all and to create something which I think is going to be really epic for everyone. My whole background, obviously I started in property. I've done the mentorship through Wealth Mentor, but I've always been part of an entrepreneurial community, an entrepreneurial network. And just having that side to it, I think, has taught me to think completely different to anybody else. I don't let obstacles get in my way. I always find a way. In fact, I turn weaknesses into powers, which is really cool. And I'll share with you some of that today. It's going to be quite exciting. But really, I think the thing for me, Jono, is, as you'd know, I don't like waiting. I'm impatient and I don't like hearing no. So I didn't want to wait years and years and years for my financial freedom. I didn't want to wait. And I never want to wait. I want to figure out how to make things happen like that. And whilst the training you've all received, you'll create financial freedom through property in time. I think there's some things that we can be doing in the meantime to start getting you to live a better life and living a life more in line with, I think, your passions, your purpose, a term that I call a term called ikigai, your reason for being, in which case you're creating a life that you don't want to run away from. So I think, Jono, that's really what I'll be sharing today and what we'll be talking about today.
I'm quite excited to go through this, and I get to witness your energy towards the opportunity to create things or find a way, or essentially you're always just trying to get the best for either yourself or the individual that you're working alongside, and that's brilliant. But often that best or that value that I always feel comes through with you is that concept of freedom, and that must be obviously a pretty massive value for you.
Absolutely. I would say that freedom is my core value. I don't have it tattooed in particular, but I've almost got it. I've got the bird which represents freedom on my wrist there. But I think the reason why freedom is so core in everything I do and how I help people to create their freedom is, I think most people sell themselves into slavery. We touched on this on Monday, remember? We talked about that whole idea of normal being getting the student loan, debt, and then moving closer to the city and maybe buying an inner city house because you need to be close to the job in order to pay off your loan, more debt. So all of a sudden, people, and they don't do it deliberately, they do it because that's what society said, right? So they end up selling themselves to slavery almost, in order to try pay off this debt they've got when there's such a better way out there. So I might I'll jump right into it. Hey, so one of the core things to me is like I was saying, for financial freedom. We're all here because we want financial freedom, right? And property is a brilliant way to create financial freedom, but it does take time. It takes time to find the deals, it takes time to do the deals, to recycle equity out, to go again, and to build up that passive income. So what I say is, while you're waiting for that passive income to build up, there are things that you could be doing in the meantime. So the question is, and I'd love for you to type in the comments, actually, let me know in the comments, what would you do if you didn't have to work? What would you do? And I'm coming over to the comments, so you might as well type, right? What would you do if you didn't have to work? Why do you want financial freedom? It's a really interesting question, right? Some people know exactly what they want, others don't. So we've got a few coming in. Cool, just waiting for that. Let me know in the comments. But Jono, while I'm waiting for those comments to come through, the thing is, when I talk to most people, 99% of people I ask that question to will say one of two things. And often it is those two things. They'll say travel and they'll say help people, right? So the question is, if you want financial freedom in order to travel or to help people or whatever your reason, family, freedom, you don't actually have to wait 4 to 5 years in order to create financial freedom, in order to have that life. There are things that you can be doing right now in order to build more travel into your life, in order to start helping people or whatever it is you want to do, is to spend more time with family. I was on a call yesterday, Jono, and this is what we talk about, is it's life by design. It's actually consciously thinking about the life you want, designing it as you want it, designing a life you don't want to run away from, and then making that happen. So I was on a call yesterday with one of our EPIC students. I don't need to name her, but she was like, you know what? I just want to be able to drop my kids off at school. I want to be able to pick them up from school and actually not have to go back to work after picking them up. I want to be able to help them with their homework or maybe do some baking and that side of things. And when we started breaking it down, we're like, well, actually, one, you don't need financial freedom for that, right? Financial freedom is nice. It will happen. It will happen in time, but you could actually just get a job right now, which will pay you the same, which has more flexible working hours. Or you could create your own business, which works and which allows you to work the hours that you want, which means you don't actually have to be that slave to the man anymore. The thing is, most people, when I ask them why they want financial freedom, they say because they don't want to work in their job. And so what they're doing is they're running away from something. And the problem with when you have a goal which is running away from something, there's a saying, what you resist persists. If there's something you really don't want, you're going to keep focusing on it. You're going to keep noticing it, and it's going to start to really dominate your life, right? You're probably, the minute you start your financial freedom journey, you're going to start really hating your job. But if instead of setting a goal of running away from something, you set the goal of what you're running to, moving towards something, then one, you might see your current job is actually helping you to get to that goal, in which case you don't hate it so much. But two, it actually creates, it starts to create the life you don't want to run away from. So when we start setting goals which we're moving towards, I like to then break them down into the next step, Jono. Instead of setting goals, instead of setting lifestyle goals, what if we changed it from a lifestyle goal to a lifestyle standard? Again, I was having a conversation with Nadine today, and we're talking about this very subject, where instead of having the goal of eating healthier, instead of having the goal of being healthy, being fit, being active, eating organic, she had actually made it the standard, right? There's no goal, it's a new standard. So she says, I don't eat shit, I don't eat crap, I don't put shit into my body, which means the only alternative is to eat healthy. And therefore she has her health, she has her lifestyle because of that. And so we do exactly the same with lifestyle, with the goals, with freedom. If you were to say, I no longer fly cattle class and I only fly business class, and that is the new standard, then I know for sure you would find the money to always pay for the business class tickets, because that is built into the cost of your holiday because you don't fly cattle class. And therefore, when you're budgeting for your holiday, there's going to be more money for that automatically. It is a really simple way to simply change the way you look at things and to create that freedom faster. Yeah, you don't have true financial freedom through passive income. That does take time, but you can start living more of that life you want today. And for me, that is way more important than having passive income. You're muted.
There you go. I love the way that you look at things in terms of the fact that you've got something that you want to achieve, and you just got to figure it out in your mind, essentially what you need to shift in order to be able to start to actually achieve what you want. So really all we're talking about here is a shift in the mindset, to be able to then make sure that we can start to, I guess, have what we want. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem, right? Most people don't even think about what they want. Most people don't actually stop to think about what they want. They all go, this is what I have, what can I do with it? It's really crazy, hey? Yet if you look at any of the top guys out there, they say this is what I want to do, and how do I make that happen? So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned something there about wealth being mindset.
Mm,
And I want to share something with you for a minute because I touched on this the other day, but wealth is absolutely the way you think. And there's a concept out there that I call the wealth ladder. So the wealth ladder, we talk about the property ladder, getting your first step on the property ladder, but the wealth ladder is essentially how you climb up, how you build wealth. And what's interesting, Jono, is there's a number of steps to this. But what's even more interesting is to go from one step to the next, you have to completely, well, first you have to unlearn everything that got you there, and you need to relearn and change how you think and change how you operate to get to the next step. So let me share with you what those first key steps are. So the very first step, in order for you even to get on the wealth ladder, it's all about money. It's about mastering your money, having a good money mindset, having good money practices, not being in bad debt, and not letting your credit card get out of control. It's about having set money rules, money habits. You need to be earning. And that's probably the key word here is earn, right? At that first step, you know how to earn money. You know how to swap your time for money. Um, you should be cash flow positive. Otherwise, to be honest, if you're not cash flow positive, and this is within your own lifestyle, not any of your properties, we haven't even started thinking about properties yet. You're not even going to be on the ladder. So at this point, you're really thinking about saving. You're thinking about earning, having money rules, which means you save more than you earn. You earn more than you spend, and you put the excess into savings. And that is step one. Now, the thing about step one is you can only earn so much money. And I think they relate back to numbers. So, in terms of salary, most people are going to earn a salary of somewhere between, I mean, I hate to say it, but it is somewhere between 35 and maybe 150,000. You then have a few which might be up between 150 and 400,000, and then very few people might actually earn a salary of up to $1 million, right? So if we were to put a cap there, this first step, you really can't ever make more than $1 million. And I'd even put that probably back at about 100,000 being the average. So if we then come to the next level up, this is where we start talking about investing. So now that you're saving money, you're spending less than you earn, you're saving the difference. Then the next step up is when you start thinking about investing. This is when you start thinking about, well, rather than just saving money and having it sit in the bank, I'm going to put it into some sort of investment and start to get a return on it. So it might be a home, it might be different asset classes. You might start thinking about dollar cost averaging. You might be putting it into a retirement account or your superannuation. You're going to be starting to think about insurance and all these sorts of things. I have FIRE there because FIRE is a way to create, I hate to say it, financial freedom or to retire early. It stands for financial independence, retire early. But the thing I hate about this is that they have never, the people who utilize the FIRE mindset or the FIRE strategy, they never get past the second step on the wealth ladder. So financial independence, retire early, the strategy behind that is to essentially live like a student, eating 2-minute noodles, flatting, and living like a pauper basically, in order to save at least half of your salary, put it into a special investment strategy within the stock market, and then hope like hell that stock market doesn't crash. Now, it does work for people. They have got their financial independence. Whether it will stand the test of time, I don't know. But the problem for me is that they've never, ever actually got to the next level. So this second step is all about investing. First step, saving money. Second step, investing that. And this is then the third step, which is really the conversation that we have at Wealth Mentor. We don't really talk about that first or second step. There might be a few of the basics brought into the mentorship and that side of things, but this is really where we start talking. And it's about this wealth mindset, where you go from earning to investing to actually creating wealth. Now, in terms of creating wealth in this concept, you're really sort of talking that $1 million to $10 million space. Maybe 10 million to 100 million, but really it's that sort of 1 to 10. Most people are never going to break through that $10 million bracket, that glass ceiling. And that's because you need to change the way you think at each level, right? So here we're actually talking about making money, and making money is very different from earning money. It's the key words that, Jono, you're very familiar with, from leverage to opportunity to ROI. And I think this is where we really start looking at, that financial freedom side of things and lifestyle balance, that sort of things. But the problem is, Jono, there's even one step. Well, there are multiple steps, but this is probably the space that I've started exploring. I did my mentorship back in 2012. I created my freedom very early on. And then I started investigating and exploring this space. This is the space where you start moving from that sort of 10 million to 100 million onwards to 1 billion. And I'm going to play a game with everyone very soon. And Jono, you've seen me play this game. I know how much you love it. But step 4 is all about this legacy, right? It's where actually it almost removes you. It has a team completely in charge. Your investments all run by themselves. You've diversified. It's no longer about just one thing. It's about having multiple different businesses or multiple different investment portfolios underneath you. And this is where you can actually move entire markets or start entire markets. You think about it, in the last 10 years, we've had this space industry created, right? And that was really created maybe by 3 people. I could even narrow it down to one person, Peter Diamandis, when he launched the X Prize, right? The X Prize was essentially what created private space travel. And between Virgin Galactic and SpaceX and Blue Origins, there's only very few rocket labs, only very few people. But it was essentially Peter Diamandis who created this entire market. The other thing is they own currency. You can actually have your own currency in the form of shares, currency in the form of, literally right now, anyone can do it, where we create our own cryptocurrency. And we often, in this area, people are more likely to buy into what you do because of trust than anything else. And we bring that back to that conversation we had on Monday, right? That conversation we had on Monday was all around Richard Branson. If Richard Branson entered your body, a Freaky Friday moment entered your body, how quickly would he or you become a billionaire again, right? And because he knows how to think at that level 4, step 4 of the wealth ladder, your net worth, or his net worth in your body, would instantly go to that level. So I want to play a game with everyone. If we started with 1, right? John, I'm actually going to bring you up because I know most people, we don't quite have that same interaction. But if you needed to make $1, or you needed $1, what would you do? You're still muted. I'll start unmuting you. Might be easier. I know you have to unmute yourself.
There you go. I'd probably reach into my pocket and there may be $1 floating around, or there'd be one just hanging around somewhere.
Okay. If you didn't have $1, you don't, in these examples, you don't have any other money, you need it. What would you do?
Ask somebody for it.
You just ask someone, right? $1 is such a small note. You could literally ask someone. You don't need to do anything for it. What about $10?
Yeah, probably still ask somebody for it.
Yep. $100?
I'd ask somebody for it, but you'd have a reason.
Or you'd probably ask family, friends, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't go to strangers now. You'd start to go to people you know.
No, so $1, even $10. I know I've had a stranger ask me for $10 and I've handed it over before. $100, no. But family, friends, if they asked me, yeah, and I probably wouldn't expect it back either. Mm-hmm. What about 1,000?
Yeah, so now you're having to go to your very close network and again have some sort of reason why that $1,000 is being required.
And $1,000 is probably going to be more of a loan, or for those of you, it might be a credit card. So we're now starting to talk about borrowing. We have to pay it back, or you might sell a program of some sort, right? You might try to sell a product or something like that. Or some people might pick up an extra shift or do late shifts at work, right? So what about 10,000? And each time we're just adding a 0, right?
Yeah, so 10,000 now you may have to go to a lending institute to try and get it. you may have to sell some things, some of your assets potentially, or go to and take a loan off somebody who potentially has the ability to lend it to you.
Yep, perfect. What about 100,000?
Probably now again, lending institutes, maybe some of the more mainstream lending institutes, people would be comfortable going to. Geez, you might ask your dad if your dad is doing all right, but that'd be about the extent of it, I would imagine, in that space.
Yeah, or you could raise it from investors, or you might go out and do a property deal, flip a property, or if you do have properties, you might release some equity in that. So now we start getting to the big numbers, right? So this is where most people start to get stuck. So I'm not going to throw you under the bus because I can already see you sweating a little bit. But as we start talking 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, this is the realm of which most people start inevitably, eventually someone is going to get to the point where they're going to go into the bank guns blazing, right? That's because that's the only way they can think of. But what's interesting is it's all about the way we think. And most of it's not even the way we think, it's the way that our entire world is designed for us to think. So this is where I think what's really cool about what we're doing in the Freedom Accelerator comes in, because it essentially allows you to redesign your life. And I'd love to use Wealth Mentor as an example because this is everything we've just been through. So as a business, when you bought in, or just before you bought in, Wealth Mentor was turning over $1 million or a few mil each year. But to be honest, it was probably at its peak. As a business, delivering a single product with the crew and the way everything was designed, it probably couldn't have done much more than it was, right?
Yeah.
However, and I liken that to a bicycle, right? If people ride a bicycle, you can go a certain distance, and if you've got that endurance, you can go a huge distance as long as everything's connected. But you can't do it quickly, and you're going to be moving at a certain pace. So Wealth Mentor was moving at a certain pace. It was never going to get much bigger, and it was never going to get much faster. But what we've done by recreating Wealth Mentor is essentially we've reshaped it so now it could be quite easily a $10 million business. And that's because we've removed all the bottlenecks. We've brought in partners so it doesn't just rely on you, and it doesn't just rely on you selling the same product again and again. You've brought in a team of experts, a team of partners. They can all sell and deliver their products, which means now Wealth Mentor can turn over multiple products from multiple people they don't need to deliver, which means it's now ultimately a $10 million business, or has the capacity to be a $10 million business. This is kind of like a motorbike, right? But Wealth Mentor still has the ability to go bigger. And that's where I'd be talking about, getting to level 4. And I know I've talked to you this before. I know you don't know how I think I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it either. But I believe that Wealth Mentor has the capacity to be a $100 million business, not now, but maybe in 3 years' time, once we hit that 10 million revenue, that's when I'm going to start having that conversation with you. Okay, it's time to think 100 million. And that's what's really cool about, I think, what we're doing in the Freedom Accelerator is because we're looking at the way we've designed our own incomes. We've looked at the way we've designed our lives. Some people design their lives around their job, but we're saying, no, what if we designed the income around our life? What would that look like? And this ultimately comes back to the vehicles. So if you have a bicycle, most people say, well, I've only got a bike, so I can only go so far. And it's like, well, no, you don't need to have a bike. You can swap out your bike and you can pick up a motorbike. Or even better, you know what's better than a motorbike? A bloody jet, right? If you want to go really far, if you want to go to the other side of the world, if you want to go to London, like a motorbike, cool, you can tour New Zealand quite easily, but we're still an island, right? If you want to go anywhere decent, dare I say, you're going to need a jet. And I think that is exactly the same in business and in our lifestyle. So we can actually we can throw away the bicycle and say, you know what, I'm not going to revolve around the limitations that my bike or that my job put to me anymore. I'm actually going to design my life as a jet, and I'm going to ask those big questions. What is it that I want? I want to go to the other side of the world. Bicycle's not going to do it. What is? And in this case, we're talking a jet. But this is how we redesign people's lives.
Brilliant. You have fun there?
I did. I went on a bit of tangent too. I got to come back to where I was. Oh no, I'm right on point.
Perfect, perfect. So, I mean, the thing about you, Karen, is you've got big goals. You're always looking at the bigger purpose and the big element as to what can be achieved. And obviously, you've talked about the fact that it's essentially just a little bit of a shift in the mindset, but also, you know, it's just adding a zero when you think about it from a logical standpoint. It's not actually, people get a little bit scared each zero that comes on because that's the way that we've been tuned up, but essentially it's just another zero. So in terms of having this bigger goal and the bigger concepts of what you want to achieve, this, you always talk about it aligning to a purpose. I mean, that there is
Yeah.
something that you feel is very important. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason why I align it to a purpose is that it ultimately comes back to this whole idea of, are you running away from something or are you running towards something? Are you are you are you doing what you love, or are you doing what you hate because you have to? Because if you're doing something you love, it is no longer a job. You know, it's 8:30. Like, I often work till 10:30 at night, but I don't think that's bad because I love what I'm doing. I love the people I'm talking with, and it empowers me, right? So something you hate, a job which you hate, is going to cause you stress and it's going to demotivate you. But a job you love, not even job, when you're doing something, when you're doing work you love, is going to empower you. And I think that's the key thing. Now, the other side to it, Jono, is we're not designed to have to work. If you look back through history, the idea of us working 9 to 5s is absolutely ridiculous. In the past, we've only done what we've needed to survive. And then somehow we've got trapped into this whole idea of a career and a job and working, right? So I just hit unsubscribe on all that. And I say, how much money do I need to make? I'm inherently lazy at heart. And I know that sounds ridiculous given I just ran 270 Ks, but I can guarantee you I ran that 270 Ks the easiest way it was possible. So when it comes to making money, I look for the easiest way to make that money in order to pay for the lifestyle I want to live, right? So there's that whole factor there. I want people doing more of what they love. And there's a quote by Howard Thurman: don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go and do it. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. And give me an amen in the comments if you agree with that, because it really does hit me hard in the feels. But the real reason, and this is all about wealth, right? You know, it's Wealth Mentor. We're talking about wealth. The funniest thing, Jono, is that I don't think wealth is about making money at all. I don't think wealth is about chasing money or chasing wealth at all. I believe wealth is the precisional effect of what happens when you're out there doing what you love most, when you're trying to do more and create more of what you love most. Now, precisional effect, it's think about a bee, a little honey bee, right? Now, a honeybee is out there flying from flower to flower to flower just to collect honey. It loves honey. It wants, well, nectar. It wants more nectar because it wants to come back to the base. It wants to come back to the hive, make some honey, and be a happy little bee, right? That's all it does. It goes out, collects nectar, comes back and creates honey. But what's interesting is that the precisional effect of what that bee is doing is it's actually taking the pollen from flower to flower to flower. And because of what it's doing, it's actually creating more flowers. It's creating a bigger garden and therefore creating more honey for itself. So if we think of this in terms of creating wealth, for someone who loves what they're doing, and there's a famous YouTuber out there, Mr. Beast. Okay, Mr. Beast, absolutely, he's epic. He's one of the best YouTubers out there. He's one of the richest YouTubers out there. But he pumps all the money he makes back into doing epic videos. So he makes the money not in order to be rich, but in order to do epic videos. And because his videos get more and more epic, he gets more views, which means he makes more money, which means he can do better videos. And then, of course, that creates attraction, which means more and more people are coming to him with opportunities, with offers, which means he makes more money, which means he can do bigger videos, which creates more viewers, more partnerships, and so on and so on and so on, right? One of my favorite quotes, or not even, it's not even a quote, but It's about Walt Disney Studios, right? And the question is, does Walt Disney make movies in order to make money? Because you can make money doing anything. Or do Disney make money in order to make movies? And so this is the question I put out to everyone out there. Are you doing what you do in order to make money, or are you making money in order to do more of what you do? And I've got a really good example on how we can just start to define that, because then it comes down to your money rules and how we design it. So you can do more of what you want to do. And just like the honeybee, you just end up accumulating the wealth because you have very specific rules about what you do with that money. So Mr. Beast, he might make 20 million, and as long as he's pumping 19 million back into his videos, he's still keeping 1 million, right? He's still a multi-millionaire at, how old is he, 20 something? So I want to give you another example of how we've actually designed that into one of my accelerator members' lives, and his name is Lars. So you remember Lars, he's 18 years old. And the first thing we do is draw up a big goal, right? A big 5-year goal. And so his goal is to climb Everest. And I was like, awesome. Well, if we worked out how much money you actually need to climb Everest, it's only about 50,000, right? So from a financial point of view, that's not that big a goal to create within 5 years. He's already got a deal on the go, which is going to make him 250,000. So he said, well, actually, fine then. I want to give away $1 million accumulative to different charities over the next 5 years. I was like, boom. Now that is a big goal. And we'll touch on big goals in a minute because I've got a video I want to share. But when we started drawing up what those rules were, I said, how much of your money are you going to give away? And he said he's happy to give away 20%. So now the goal for him, and you've probably already done the numbers in your head, the goal for him is to make $5 million, not because he wants to keep $4 million, that's for precisional effect, but because he wants to give away $1 million. So all the deals he's doing is no longer about him making money for himself. It's about him working towards his goal of donating $1 million to all these charities that he wants to be supporting. But the byproduct of it is that he's going to accumulate a $4 million asset base for himself as he goes through it. And I think this is key. This is what I talk about, moving towards a goal, not running away from it. And again, if we talk about, let's say you wanted to lose weight, rather than setting the goal of losing 5 kgs, 10 kgs, 20 kgs, however much you needed to, in which case what you resist persists, you're constantly going to be thinking about everything you can't eat. It's going to play on your mind, and it's going to start to really wear you down. It's going to be a major mental challenge. A better goal would be to set yourself to go and perform on American Ninja Warrior. Now, that might seem preposterous for an overweight person to go on Ninja Warrior, but that means you've got time in order to lose that weight, where your focus is not on the weight you're losing, but on how you're getting better and better and better at appearing on Ninja Warrior. So, Jono, just to bring you back on, this is the way I look at it, and this is the way I approach it, where everything you want is actually a byproduct of what you're actually going after.
Again, that thought process, and the thought process, I guess what I'm picking up here is aim for the stars, but also think about why you aim for the stars in order to hit the goals, because there's a reason why you're going to the stars, because on the way it's going to end up in the place that you want to be, in the layman terms. So as part of that as well, you're all about challenging people. Challenge people to find a way to set those insane goals, to find out what what they can achieve beyond what they ever imagined. Talk through that process.
I can do one better than that, John. I'm actually going to share a video with you all, and I hope this works. It's a 3.5-minute video, and I think this is going to give you a real insight, one, into the way I think, but two, into the way I challenge others to think. So let's bring it in and see if it works.
The actual moonshot is wonderful, inspirational, poetic, beautiful, involved great technical challenges, genuine heroism. It brought the world together. But think about the Polynesian islander on the dugout canoe, deciding one day they were going to go that way. No one had ever been that way before. No one even knew if there was anything that way before. It was amazing, and it changed the world.
People can set their minds to magical, seemingly impossible ideas, and then through science and technology, bring them to reality. And that then sets other people on fire, that other things that look impossible might be accomplishable.
Galileo is such a hero, in thinking big, and what he represents to me is both curiosity and wonder that humanity had, that he had, that pushed him and drove himself to invent and work on the first telescopes that allowed us to see the moon, and here we are.
These aviation pioneers were figuring it out as they went. No one really knew how to build an airplane, right? No one knew how to fly an airplane. It was amazing and crazy and wonderful, and they wanted to explore.
Many years ago, the great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said, because it is there.
There's so many challenges in the world, and you can feel daunted by that, and sort of oppressed by that, or you kind of say, how might we think differently about this?
Everyone else in the world is working on that next 10%. If you can be the one that delivers that 10 times improvement, you have a chance to really change things.
If you want cars to run at 50 miles per gallon, fine, you can retool your car a little bit. But if I tell you it has to run on a gallon of gas for 500 miles, you have to start over.
You need a lot of courage in this work, and you need a lot of persistence. One of the things that's really critical is not only having the courage to keep trying every day or thinking big, even if you don't really 100% believe it's possible, like you might think this might be possible, have the courage to try. That's how the greatest things have happened.
You don't spend your time being bothered that you can't teleport from here to Japan, because there's a part of you that thinks it's impossible. Moonshot thinking is choosing to be bothered by that.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Humanity's progress has been a series of amazing, audacious things, from the very small and personal up to the great, big, and grand. And we are a species of moonshots. And to me, that's like the really amazing, poetic, and inspirational thing.
I think our ambitions are a glass ceiling on what we can accomplish.
When you find your passion, you're unstoppable. You can make amazing things happen. It's been true through all of history.
I believe in the human spirit, and I believe that there are always going to be crazy people who will get out of bed one morning and say, you know what? I think I can build a space elevator, and let's go and do it. But I think that if we become afraid to take these great big risks, we stop inspiring people. We stop achieving things. And the biggest nightmare scenario is that we won't have what it takes to solve the really big challenges.
When Kennedy said that we would put a man on the moon, it's about the fact that he said, we don't know how to do this yet, and we're gonna do it anyway. And that sends chills up everybody's spine. Because if that happens, what couldn't we do?
Pretty cool video, hey?
Brilliant. I just actually jumped into the Facebook group and I was like, what a great video, into the comments, because, gives you tingles, doesn't it?
It does. And I think this is the point, right? The minute you don't need to worry about how food's going to be on your table or how your rent or mortgage is going to be paid, we can actually start thinking that way. And that's one of the key fundamentals, or the foundation things around the Freedom Accelerator, is that I ask every single member of the accelerator, we go through it all. We call it a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. And we set a 5-year time limit on when they're going to achieve that goal. So Lars, he's got 5 years in order to make $5 million, $1 million, which is given away, and to then go and climb Mount Everest, right? And the reason why we set such a big goal, they put it so well in that video. I could never ever do any better than it says. But if you wanted to improve something by 10%, most of us could improve our lives by 10%, right? Easy. If we wanted to make an extra $10,000, most of us could do that. But when you're faced with such a big goal that you have no idea how you're going to do it, but you're willing to give it a go, it changes the fundamentals of everything you are. You can't achieve that as the person you are today. You have to become someone completely new. You have to completely change your thinking. And the processional side of that is your wealth. So I want to share a conversation I had with Forzy, right? So Forzy's 26 years old, 27, something like that, late 20s anyway. She's already financially free through property. And when we're talking, I was talking with her and she was like, you know what really pisses me off? She was living in Queenstown. She was paying about 200, 250 bucks a week rent in a flat. And they had another guy come join the flat because there's no housing available. And he paid 250 bucks per week to sleep behind the couch on the floor in the lounge, right? She was like, it really pisses me off that there's just no housing, that people are paying to sleep behind couches on the floor. And so I said to her, well, what are you going to do about it? And she was like, well, I'm going to build houses. And I said, okay, then how many are you going to build? How are you going to stretch yourself in order to achieve that? She said, I'm going to build 1,000 houses in order to get people into housing within the next 5 years. And as we started exploring it, she realized very quickly that if she went the traditional housing route, it wouldn't work. And so rather than changing her goal, she changed herself in the way she was thinking and the solution to that problem. And she actually decided tiny houses was the way she was going to do it. And so she's now 26, 27 years old, working to build 1,000 houses where she can partner up with landlords. She owns the tiny house. She can partner up with landlords to put the tiny house on their land. So she doesn't need to buy land or have any of those issues, rent it out to someone. She achieves her goal of getting 1,000 people into affordable housing. But how much is she going to make from that, right? The precessional effect, even if she only makes $50 a week, 1,000 tiny houses, that's still $50,000 per week, right? So it's absolutely nuts. But that's that key. How do we transform? How do we change everything you are? But the other thing is, again, most people say, this is what I have. What can I do with it? I have this much money. What sort of holiday can I have? Whereas when we turn it around and we say, what do you want and how much do you need to fund that? That's Kiyosaki 101. You know, don't tell me you can't afford it. Ask how you can afford it. So I want to share with you another story before I know you've got more questions. And this was a conversation I had just today. The same conversation I was having with Nadine, right? We were trying to set their big, hairy, audacious goal. And for them, it's about actually having this mammoth of a holiday trip. So they want the luxury, right? They want to have an epic, luxurious holiday, traveling the world, no expenses spared. Justin used to work on super yachts, and he was like, you know what? I want to be on the other side. So that alone is like 250,000 euros. What's that? 375, 400,000-ish. I think she told me 500,000, right? Just for a week on a super yacht. Now, most people would pass that off as ridiculous and not even bother trying, right? But when we set the parameters and we said, what is the goal? How could we do it? Then the total amount comes to $2 million, by the way, $2.15 million for 1 year's holiday. And we came up with a solution. So we came up with a strategy that we believe will work, that will give them a 2.15 million in order to have that holiday, but not waste it. It's going to be paid from an investment portfolio. And they're now starting off today in drawing up and testing, can they receive the returns they need on that money? Because they do have access to that money and they'll keep building it over the next 5 years. But they're now testing, can they receive trial and error, you know, much like the first space pioneers, to see, can they do that? And we know that in 5 years' time, when it actually comes time to take that holiday, that they'll be there, they'll have the money, they'll be able to put it into some sort of investment that will give them a return they need in order to have that holiday. And for me, you know, it just excites me because it shows that, you know, I've got it tattooed on my arm. Embrace the impossible. Nothing is impossible. Where there's a will, there's a way. Change your thinking. Ask bigger questions. Don't say, what can I do? Decide what you want to do, and then let's figure out how you can do it.
Brilliant. Absolutely love that. And it's got me excited. And obviously I'm very excited about where we're going as a company, Wealth Mentor, and so many great people on here tonight as well. And this is all part of the change in thinking, which is really, really exciting. And you keep mentioning the Freedom Accelerator, and I'm sure people are dying to know a little bit more about what is the Freedom Accelerator. So I'll hand the floor back to you.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. So for those of you who've never heard of it before, that's because we haven't really gone out with it too publicly before. As you're aware, this is me coming on as the partner right now, and this is the first time we've ever really run it as a partner. So it is my program where I actually get to work with you guys one-on-one and as a group, helping you to hit your goals and to speed it up. So there's Freedom Accelerator. That word accelerator has a double meaning. Accelerator means to speed up. So it's how can we speed up your freedom? But an accelerator in the entrepreneurial business world, it's something like Y Combinator. It's when you bring a select few people together or select few businesses together, get them working together with mentors to really accelerate their transition into business or to accelerate results, really. So there's two sides to it. The speed, but also the fact that we're coming together as a select few group. So the accelerator itself is never going to be more than 100 people because, to be honest, that's the number. I don't want to dilute my time. I want to know everybody who's part of the accelerator. I want to know your businesses. I want to know your goals, and I want to be helping you to achieve that. So the accelerator is essentially 3 key steps. It's a 12-month program where we work to implement, achieve your goals through dream, design, deliver. That first part is the key part, dream. What is that lifestyle you want? What is that 5-year BHAG? And I can guarantee you, whatever you come up with, I'm going to challenge you to think even bigger. So what do you want that lifestyle to look like? And then how do we actually design it in order to make it happen? There's 2 ways to speed everything up, Jono. The first way is an investment pipeline. So just as I was talking about with Nadine back there, if you've got bigger goals that need a passive income or a financial return quicker, then you might need to go for an investment class, which is actually giving higher returns. And when we looked out there, Jono, there are investments out there that will pay 100% plus per year ROI. So that's the first way, right? Some people might just, if you only had $50,000 and you want a $50,000 passive income, well, you're forced to go out and make 100% return on that income. And it is possible. Is there risk? Yes. But we have a process in which in order to test, trial, and be comfortable with that risk. The second side is what I call the money maker. Now, tomorrow, you guys get to meet Bella, right? And Bella's actually part of the accelerator. And the way she came on as a partner was through it all because she said she had her goals in order, what she wanted to earn in passive income. And we're like, well, what would you then do? She's like, I'd still coach and help people. And we're like, well, if you could make that money from just coaching and helping people, from doing what you love, and you just design your coaching hours around that so that you're not in a full-time job, would you be happy? She was like, hell yeah. And since then, we've worked to articulate, bring her on as a partner. And tomorrow, you're going to learn about how amazing she is and how she actually helps people. So those are the 2 key ways, right? Can we speed it up through the investment pipeline, or can we speed it up through bringing in some sort of money maker where now you're actually getting paid to do what you love? And then it's about deliver. So this is actually how we show up as a group in order to ensure you get there. And the key thing here is massive accountability. So the first thing is we actually have a workshop every quarter in order to we set 5-year goals, we set annual themes, we set a 2022 goal, and then we set quarterly goals. And then we show up every fortnight for a mastermind, a 2-hour mastermind. No longer is it just about you, it's about the rest of the people in the accelerator. And Jono, I've been so proud of the way they hold each other to account. They will grill each other. They won't stand, for bullshit excuses. And we're going to talk about the results we've seen already in just the first quarter, but it's been insane. And I believe that accountability is a massive one. And the second part of that is I make my calendar available every Thursday. So I've spent all day today just on Zoom talking with my students, one-on-one, and we just smash it out. What is it you need to be doing right now? So they have very clear objectives of what they're doing. They track. We have something which we call a flight deck. So everybody is tracking what the most important goals are, the metrics are, ensuring they're on track. If something doesn't add up, then they're on it straight away. And I think those are the three key things to the actual accelerator, Jono. Setting a huge goal, designing how we're actually going to achieve it, and then delivering it, making sure you're accountable, making sure you've got plenty of me time, you've got that support from both myself and the rest of the accelerator family.
Oh yeah, brilliant. And in terms of that, you mentioned results. I'm dying to know. I know quite a few of them, but I'm sure everybody else is dying to know even more. What are some of the results that you've seen from some of the students that have gone through already?
You're going to love this because it's almost been instantaneous. The minute people knew what they wanted and how they were going to get there, they were able to start completely changing their lives. From entirely selling a property portfolio, selling their home as well, moving to the beach that they want to be living at, knowing that they're going to be getting a home, but it's not necessary right now because it's going to be a proper development with, property investment principles behind it. And knowing that just the amount of money they've got liquid from now, they're pretty much never going to have to work again. And that's just 3 months into this. Another one I like to bring up is Mary. So Mary, again, is late 20s. They're not all in their 20s, just seem to keep picking these ones out. And she, you know what? She actually likes what she does in her job, but she wanted to travel. So she needed a passive income in order to pay for her travel, right? And we're like, well, you can actually travel right now. You just need a different job. And so she's quit her job already. She's booked flights to London because she wants to live in Europe and travel around Europe. She's never been there. She's now interviewing for international remote jobs. And, when we talked about goals and standard, she's now made it her standard that she will not work for any company that does not allow her to live the laptop lifestyle and zoom in or tune in from wherever she is. And so she's a keen photographer. She wants to be working on her Insta. So she's now sharing this journey with her network through Insta as she's going, harnessing her photography skills. The goal is she'll share her travels. And maybe in the future, the plan has changed a little bit. She was talking about actually then creating a program in order to support others to do the same. And of course, that would mean she doesn't even need the job because she's now earning income from that. So those are just two examples of how quickly it can be implemented. And I think we've seen this seriously from 90% of the people in the program.
That's really cool. And I guess it comes back down to the principles. We're making wealth accessible. We're figuring out ways of creating wealth, and wealth, whatever that means. For Mary, it's about the travel. That for her is wealthy. And she's finding and working through a way to be able to achieve that. And that there is absolutely brilliant. So take my hat off to you and also to Mary on achieving that. And everybody else that managed to achieve some epic results. It's very, very cool. All right. So in terms of the Freedom Accelerator, how can people find a little bit more information if they want to look at the Freedom Accelerator?
Yeah, look, the best way is just to book in with a one-on-one call with me. It's not for everyone. You do have to be a little bit crazy, just like myself, just like everyone else in the program. So I'm just going to drop a Calendly link into the chat here. I'll put it into YouTube as well, because I know we've still got a few people watching on that. And the best thing is just to do is just book a call. Look, there's absolutely no obligations, and all I'm going to do is just blow your mind. I am going to be honest. I'm going to destroy your life because I'm going to show you why all the excuses of why you can't do something are bullshit. But we ultimately find a way in order for you to achieve what you want to achieve. The way it works, Jono, is we only do quarterly intakes. So this next quarter is starting 21st of March. So you've got 11 days basically. So I wouldn't sit on that. I have deliberately opened up time in my calendar tomorrow and Saturday. Next week, I'm busy. I'm actually doing a mentorship. So there's no more time. So if this isn't something, if this is of interest, if you want to learn more about it, I'd say jump on that calendar. Let's talk tomorrow. Let's talk Saturday. And I'll share with you the full details, how it works, the pricing structure, all of that. And yeah, so it is a full 12 months. And the way the program's broken into is we do it quarter by quarter. So we come in, we set the quarterly goals, and then at the end of that quarter, we actually review them. So it is an objective, it is an outcome driven program. We are really focused on what you're getting out there. And the very first thing I do with everybody out at the very first meeting is we start to set a plan of how they're going to make back the cost of the program. And of course, not only that, but way more. But that's the very first thing we work on, because that's the most important thing for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing tonight. It's been really epic, and really enjoyed hearing all these concepts. And these are brilliant, and really a great way for people to change their life in a big way. So massive thank you to you, Karen, for your energy, your effort tonight. It is much appreciated. And thank you for your third day out of 4. It's been great to have you. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody, or are you happy in the background? Let's bring you up to say goodbye.
No, I always love it. You know me. Thank you, everyone. It's been such a pleasure to be able to get up here, share with you. Just even that video, I did see Teresa's jumping in, going how much she loves that video as well. So yeah, even if it's just a video, but the one thing I'd leave with you with is that Robert Kiyosaki quote again. What is it? Don't ask if you can afford it. Ask how you can afford it. So yeah, it's always possible.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. Right, one absolutely epic session. Now we do have one more evening tomorrow night, the final evening of the celebration of Wealth Mentor 2.0. And guys, if you've got any questions in terms of any of the programs, you've got the link there for Karen's calendar, as well as at the bottom of this page here, there is a link there to touch base and chat to any of our team. So last night we obviously had Paul on in terms of the book a call with Paul, also the Cash from Us class. Don't be shy, give us a call, nice and easy. Book a link on the bottom of this page, and you can spend some time having a chat to one of our team members. Once again, big night tomorrow night. We're so excited to bring Bella on. I am 100% certain that you guys are going to absolutely love it. And what else would you want to do on a Friday night except spend the time with Bella, the absolute legend that she is? Guys, have a fantastic evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. And as always, have an awesome evening, but always stay awesome. Good night, everybody.